there, and welcome to my channel. I'm so happy that you're here. My name is Kika, and I talk about making stuff and living a creative life.
There's a bee in my bonnet, hello, hello. A bee in my bonnet, hello. There's a bee in my bonnet, hello, hello. A bee in my bonnet, hello. Would you be my song and I'll be your sonnet? You be my chair and I'll surely sit on it. I'll bring the gin and you bring the tonic. A bee in my bonnet, hello. There's a bee in my bonnet, hello, hello. A bee in my bonnet, hello. There's a bee in my bonnet, hello, hello. A bee in my bonnet, hello. I think that you're smashing from head to toe. I'm telling you this just so that you know. If I am
the most asked question I get on Instagram is how do I come up with my ideas and where do I get inspiration from? Today I want to talk about those things and give you 5 ways to hopefully come up with new creative content and give you some inspiration and some helpful tips. So when it comes to making creative photos, there obviously aren't any rules, but I thought of 5 things that I quite often use and strategies and thought patterns that I have, and I want to share them with you guys so that you can, try out things and be creative and have fun with it, especially if you feel like you're a little stuck and just want some new energy into your photos. These 5 tips work for any type or style of photography. They're really more sort of brain teasers and hopefully will make you look at things maybe a bit differently and go about the process of making your photos in a new and fun way. We all know that today it's really difficult to get discovered on Instagram because there's just so many photos out there. So any way you can stand out and come up with original and fun. Well, even though if you take very moody or gloomy photos, but just try to make them, stand out and give them your original and unique twist. I hope these will do that and at least make you think a little differently about it. Number 1 is to combine things in an unexpected way. This is something that is a really powerful tool and something that you can really implement on absolutely anything. I use this quite often in a way where I have a starting point, so an idea for a photo. And then when I have that, starting point, something that inspires me or an idea, I try to look at ways of combining then the elements in that photo in an unexpected way. So instead of, going with the most obvious choices and your first thoughts, to challenge that a little further and see what comes next and how you can put a twist on it and really make it unique. My photos are often a little surreal and have an element of magic and whimsy in them. And in surrealism, there is this thing about looking for the magic and the beauty in the uncanny and the unconventional, and basically to go with your imagination and your intuition and kind of reject all rational thought. I think that's a really liberating and inspirational way of looking at things when you try to come up with creative photo ideas. Instead of trying to make sense of it, to just have fun with it, go a little crazy with it, experiment and see what happens instead. I wanted to give an example of this, which is that I took a photo with a flying phone booth, and the way that picture came about was I had the phone booth as the starting point because we moved to London last September, and I really find them inspirational. That's phone booth can be inspirational, but I really wanted to take a photo with the phone booth. But then instead of just having the phone booth in the street and me being in it or whatnot, I thought, how could I really accentuate, the shape of the phone booth and make it into something like a mode of transportation almost. So then instead I am flying with the phone booth over a grey London sky, and to make it even more fun and playful, I added some balloons so it looks like the balloons are holding the phone booth up. And that's just one way where you can take something that is really not expected and instead, clash things together, and something that will, hopefully engage the viewer and make them stop and look twice at the photo. Moving on to tip number 2. Tip number 2 is to play with the size and scale of things. You know, things have an inherent authentic size in them and a size that we know to be real for the real world. But in a photo, you can create an illusion and play around with those things. There are many ways where you can play with scale and the size of things. So one way is just how you place your camera, what angle. So making a city, you know, appear very small and you're very close to the camera so you look bigger, or using forced perspective, or crafting a little forest. Okay, these are all very specific examples, but you know, just keeping that in mind to play with the size of things. Tip number 3 is to use things wrong. I firmly believe that you already have everything you need to take a creative photo. It's just about seeing the potential around you. What I mean when I say to use things wrong is to urge you to look at the world around you and forget everything you know about it. So with everything and object, they usually have a function or a way that they're usually used. But one way to come up with fun and new ways to use things around you is to forget that and use them wrong. So this is again to be a little bit playful and whimsical and try to come up with new connections and new discoveries for you to use in your photos. I use the phrasing use things wrong because I think it's really fun when you get to go against the rules and you know, just how can you unlock those maybe often unconscious maybe rules or preconceived notions of how it is that you're supposed to do something. So then to know consciously doing something wrong is so much fun. I have an example of a photo where I use a razor as a vacuum cleaner, and that's clearly using one thing wrong and it's transforming into something else. The way that picture came about was I was scrolling through Pinterest, I think, and I saw a photo with some razors and something in my mind just clicked, and to me it looked like a vacuum cleaner. And so I think the key here is to also really look for those kind of connections and sort of shapes around you. Sometimes it can also be helpful to look at pictures because they are two-dimensional. So especially with shapes, it can just be easier to make those sort of connections. Number 4 is to get crafty. I think one of the best ways to come up with creative photo ideas is to just start making something. It can be easy to get stuck in thinking about it and trying to plan it, when actually if you just start making something and take something that inspires you in the actual physical world, will probably give you ideas. Also, often the best ideas I get is when I'm already doing something else, and then that will spark the next idea. It can be easy when we overanalyze and overthink something to get stuck. Instead there, I would just start somewhere, and the best way is if you actually do something with your hands or you build something, and that will also give you more reason to take a photo of it and show it. Okay, the last tip, number 5, is to look at a lot of photos. When you're trying to come up with creative photo ideas, one pretty obvious way is to look at already existing photos and trying to really find those gems that inspire you and excite you. Really study them, you know, have a mood board, look at those photos. What is it that inspires you? Why do you think they, you know, draw you in? And seeing how you could implement those things in your own photos and how you can interpret that into your own photography. And here really the key word is to not just, you know, scroll and just like gather a bunch, but also really sit with them and immerse yourself in them. We're so used to just, you know, next all the time. But if you actually focus on the details and take something little out of there, that can be a seed for something spectacular and something new, and also discoveries that you didn't know that you would ever have, because you focused on something small and took the time and effort to get to know that. Alright, you guys, that were the 5 tips. So number 1 was to combine things in an unexpected way. Number 2 was to play with size and scale. Number 3 was to use things wrong. Number 4 was to get crafty. And number 5 was to look at a lot of photos. I'd love to hear what you thought about this video, and also what kind of tips you would have for anybody who wants to come up with creative photo ideas. Please subscribe and follow my channel. Also check out my Instagram account at Kutovakika, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!
There's a bee in my bonnet, hello, hello, a bee in my bonnet, hello. There's a bee in my bonnet, hello, hello, a bee in my bonnet, hello.